So today in the tub we have Roz Crews, who is in the PSU MFA Art and Social Practice program. And I wanted to start off by asking you how you would define art and social practice.
It's like a method for making art that is interdisciplinary, collaborative, participatory, site-specific, context-specific, frequently like engaging lots of people or one person or another. There's like people involved a lot.
And I know you got your undergrad in something besides art.
Yes.
Forgive me, I forget. Anthropology?
Yeah, in anthropology. It was in archaeology specifically, and I wrote my thesis, undergraduate thesis, about public archaeology and outreach and education.
Did you get out of that degree knowing that you were going to pursue MFA?
No. In undergrad, I was painting a lot. It's like one time I made this drawing series that was like based on data that I asked elementary school, high school, and college students what they wanted for Christmas, and then drew these like really intense, obsessive watercolor drawing, painting things. And then I did more public archaeology stuff and worked with National Park Service and in an archaeology company in Florida and did illustrations for them and other stuff. And I was working in commercial production, TV kind of commercial production and stuff like that, and then realized that I wanted to be on the creative team and not on the production team. Mm-hmm. So then I thought, well, I'll just get an MFA or something. I was going to go just like make sculptures at PSU, but then to like make a portfolio. And then I met Harold Fletcher and I found out what social practice is and what that art making looks like, and I thought it was really exciting because I had been doing lots of outreach stuff and working with people, so kind of felt right.
Okay. So what brought you to Portland?
Well, I grew up in Florida and went to college there and left that because I fell in love with somebody that was living here and wanted to pursue that and did. It was great. And also like I thought it was good that they had like good recycling programs and stuff.
Portland. City that works.
The city that works.
Sometimes. So I think we can start polling. Some random questions. How would you define your aesthetic?
I don't consider myself like highly aestheticized or something. But the other day, it's interesting because somebody was like, I love water parks. And the other person was like, yeah, wouldn't you say that like water parks are kind of part of your aesthetic? And I was like, I guess, sure. So I think there's like something to that weird like commercialized chlorine children screaming thing that's part of my aesthetic.
Okay, what are you most excited about?
Right now?
Yeah, what are you making? What is on the horizon for Roz?
Because I'm the artist in residence at the University Housing Department at PSU, I live in the dorms, and that's become part of my aesthetic, living in the dorms with 18-year-olds. I'm also working on this project that I've been involved in for about a year now at the King's School, which is an elementary school, K-8 school in Northeast Portland. And last year I worked with a group of freshmen from PSU to develop an interpretive program at the school with first graders. They taught the first graders how to interpret this exhibition of magnum photography. It's part of a larger project where the school is becoming a contemporary art museum.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm working in the education interpretation department, which isn't a real department. It's like a conceptual department. So I'm going to expand that program this year. I'm excited about that.
What is your favorite exhibition space in Portland? Can I get some watermelon?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. My favorite exhibition space in Portland. I like National a lot. I love the paintings that they show. I think they're really great. I love that surplus space is in the house. Mm-hmm. And I love the S1 is in a basement below a Rite Aid. I love the dedication they have to the community and that they have studios in the space. I think that they're also really, really thoughtful about trying to make an inclusive space that includes people who maybe don't feel included in other spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. I like Muscle Beach and the fact that they roam around to different spaces.
Okay, well,
yeah.
What would be your ideal setting for showing work? Like, if you could have any place, anywhere, not even in Portland, like, what would be the dream? Where do you want to occupy?
Well, obviously the beach.
Yeah.
A pool. Like, if I want my audience to be people who go to the mall, I like the idea of doing a project in the mall. Because I started meeting water cooler people. People, like, drop off water coolers and then, like, drop off the water. And those people are, like, doing that all day long. So, pretty interested in stuff like that, where I could, like, go with the water cooler person to all the places that they go and make a video about them or something. Mm-hmm. I mean, ideally, it's just, like, related to whatever idea that I'm having. You know? Mm-hmm. But I love the beach, too. Hawaii. Oh, Hawaii. That's my idea. Yeah, I have this idea for a project where the only goal is that I get to go to Hawaii.
Oh, well, we should start writing grants.
Yeah.
Oh, singularity. Yay or nay?
Singularity. Can you define singularity, please, Katie?
Just merging your physical body and physical, like, mentality into one with technology.
I think I don't want to become a computer.
Okay. But Tamagotchis were so fresh.
So fun, but also
so fresh,
like,
so fun.
I don't know. Try dating a Tamagotchi, Katie.
I have. That would be a really good Tinder account.
That'd be a good project.
Yeah. Dating.
Also, I hate Tinder, so I don't know if that has to do with singularity.
I don't think that it is useful, but it is
scary.
Funny.
Yeah, it scares me.
Why?
Because, like, I was like, because it's like a platform that I don't feel comfortable on at all, because it's like only based on how I look.
Yeah.
I kept walking down the street thinking, that person probably saw me on Tinder. That person probably saw me on Tinder. And then I was just like, I can't deal with this.
Sometimes when...
Do you get messages on there?
Oh, yeah. 90% of my Tinder messages start out, hey, I think you're really cute. I like your glasses. And then
Lucky.
I don't say anything back.
Why?
Because, duh, I like my glasses too. I bought them.
Yeah, but then you say, like, oh, you're cute.
See, that's where I'm a fail at, like,
well, my message is, okay, I tried messaging people because no one was messaging me. and I wrote, one of them that I liked a lot was, I was like, how did you get into telecommunications after you decided to stop being a firefighter? And then I told somebody that, and they were like, Roz, no wonder you don't have any
What does that
names.
mean?
He was a telecommunications person, and he used to be a firefighter. That was his profile, and he was playing beer pong. He was really cute.
I thought...
My other opening
I thought
line
it was...
What?
I thought, the way that you said that, it made it sound like it was a pickup line, and so I thought that it was a joke, but it was actually, like...
It was real.
something that was on his profile.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not...
That's
just
not
a legitimate
sexy.
question.
It's just not sexy.
You don't have to be sexy. I don't talk to anybody. I had one guy ask me to tell him a spooky story using the word spooky.
That seems, like, hot.
No. I didn't respond. This we gotta change.
Okay.
Alright. Is there a specific work in the past 5 years that you felt like was a turning point or a new touchstone, or you raised the bar?
Of myself?
Of your work. Like,
working,
it means, like, next time it's gotta be as good as Nails and Feminism.
Right. Yeah. So I think that being in grad school, I feel like everything I'm doing is kind of like an exercise or something. Like, it's like, oh, I can try anything right now. What am I going to try next? Because I think that oftentimes master's MFA programs like force you to focus in like a triangle going up like to this pyramid of the top or something, and I'm not interested in. I'd like much rather a career and like an education that's like this, where there's like all this stuff happening in between. So I'm like doing this thing, and then I like finish that thing, and then I go to this thing, and I like finish that one, and then I come here and finish that, and just keep going like that. And each time I've like accomplished a new step, and like get better at doing stuff, and like become more like, I don't know, professional in a way, because I like made a lot of mistakes each time, and then I'm not making the same mistakes. I mean, I think doing the art and sports lecture series that you guys were both a part of was a really big accomplishment for me, because I felt like I learned a lot of new skills. I learned about how to work with other artists and how to like work with another thing about social practice I think is important is working in non-art settings and working with non-art institutions and non-artists in general, because it's really exciting for me to think about art being in places like the Portland State University Campus Rec Center, which is somewhere that would normally maybe have like a mural of like swimmers or something, but instead had all of these weird artists coming into the gym to talk about their art practice in relationship to sports, and then all of these non-art going people, like the people that go to exercise at the gym, got to like maybe pass by and see these weird artists doing something and telling stories about their own art, and then relating to it because it was maybe about basketball, or it was maybe about track or tennis or whatever it was. And so that was really exciting.
Complete the sentence. If you like blank, then you will like my work.
I don't know how to answer that question. I just realized. Because it's like presumptuous, you know? Like, because then I'm like, oh, well, I could just say something silly like, if you like tree houses, then you would like my work, but then that's not, there's no correlation.
But for some artists, that would be so true.
That's true. That's a really good point. Because I know lots of people that make tree houses as their art.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. Okay, like if you like sport, there's a lot of people that I talk to and they're like, I love sports. Wow, cool. Just because I've been making all these sports related projects. So that's one thing that does seem like it fits. Sports.
Sports.
Which is weird because I don't even like sports.
You don't like sports?
I like them in a lot of ways and not in other ways. Confusing, huh?
Next question.
Yeah.
If you could debunk any myth about social practice, what would it be?
Okay. I have to ask you, what myth do you want debunked about social practice? Because I feel like people have a lot of opinions and I'd like to know.
I know that like there is some sort of rift with studio artists and social practice artists that is maybe not really in our generation, because I've never thought like, oh, I'm not going to go to this thing because it's social practice. Like I'm just, if there's a cool thing, I want to go. But I think it's about objects.
Yeah. Well, I think, okay, I have a lot to say about that.
I think people get scared about objects on both sides.
Yeah. I think one of the things that social practice does for artists is it gives the artist agency. Artists who wanted to make things that weren't paintings, weren't sculptures, weren't installations, weren't video art, weren't performance art, they couldn't really do that in a lot of these studio programs. And I'm talking about like people maybe going to MFA programs like 20 years ago. But I think that making it its own program made it a lot easier for artists to do that and to justify it and to have this set precedent that's something outside of the gallery and outside of art institutions becoming art. So that's one thing, the division between the two programs that I think is really important, is just having the support to do the work you want to do.
Yes.
But then there's this idea also of like defining social practice in opposition to studio practice, where you're making work that isn't about a solo artist in their studio, like slaving away on objects. And so then it's like this. Then there's like a potential riff of like, well, one thing is better than the other thing. If you decide that you're a social practice artist, you don't believe that it makes sense to like be in your studio making your studio art, and then like potentially like feeding it into this capitalist commercial gallery system, right? And then there's this like liberation that comes with that of like, oh, I'm free to live outside of the gallery system. There's places I can make my art that are not the gallery, so I don't have to have approval of the gallerists. I don't have to have approval of curators. I don't have to have approval of all these people telling me that this is good. I can just do it myself. And I don't think that's something that studio artists couldn't adopt, and lots of them do adopt that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's happening in Portland all the time.
Yeah.
But another like piece of it is just this idea of like making objects for commodification, and social practice hasn't really been commodified yet. And I don't think that means it's not going to be, because I think people are going to pretty soon try to figure out ways to make it commodified, and one of those ways is like, oh, social practice is like marketing, right? Like, social practice artists are really good at marketing things, and that's something that's come up a couple of times. It's kind of weird. And maybe a way that it's going to become commodified.
Yeah, I've definitely witnessed people talking about social practice as if it is flippant. And it's kind of troubling to me. It seems like a low blow, because if one type of artist is picking on another type of artist, then like, what's the point? Because so many people who aren't artists think just generally what even studio artists are doing is stupid. So like, I see that part, but then I also see other people like being like, well, that doesn't matter, and what are they doing actually?
Right, what are you doing? I mean, you're just like,
what do you have to show?
You're having like this weird event where people come and like eat pizza basically, or like have a party, and there's like lots of critique of social practice as people just having parties or something, but to me I think it's about building relationships.
Cool. Do we have any more questions? Are we fresh out?
I think wait, no, there's more. Oh, there's like that one, and there's this too.
Ooh.
And there's that.
Oh god.
Oh, we have so much material.
I'll take this limp one.
Oh.
What's the last work you saw that made you think, dang, I wish I would have thought of that?
Wow, there's so many. There's these two artists who are kind of, they're not like necessarily social practice artists, but they get included sometimes in like the canon of social practice. I think they also get maybe included in new genre public art, which is a phrase kind of coined in one of Suzanne Lacey's books, or her book. And this project, these artists, Mel Ziegler and Kate Erickson, their thoughts on collaboration have been really inspirational to me, and thinking about when they did interviews together, it would just say like Erickson, Ziegler. And it didn't specify who said what. And so they were like speaking together, and I thought that like that showed a high level of like understanding and collaboration and like mindset of like, I trust that whatever you say I would say, or that I would at least like feel comfortable like signing on to, which I think, so that's been really great. And one of the projects that I really like that they did, and I think is maybe one of their most popular or famous pieces, is called Home Monument, maybe House Monument, but I think it's Home Monument. And what happened, it was a project for a museum in LA, and they had to do a project, right, in a gallery. And so they got commissioned to do this project in a gallery in the museum. And so they got all of this lumber, enough lumber to make a whole house. And they spent 3 months researching like quotes about homes from like all different kinds of resources, like poets, writers, ecologists, people, anyone who had something to say about homes. And they collected over like 200 different quotes about homes, and they wrote them out in like permanent marker on all of the lumber, and then had the lumber shown in the gallery. And the exciting part about this, that makes it feel like a social practice project, is that then they sold all of the lumber at half price to whoever wanted to use it to build their home. And it ended up being somebody, and I forget which small part of Southern California, like which town it's in now. But ultimately, this person bought all the lumber half price, built a house, and I looked at the house the other, because there was like a, and this is like in the late 90s or mid 90s or something, and I looked it up the other day because the address of the house is in like the newspaper. Mm-hmm. That's another thing, like commonly these social practice projects will get written up in like local newspaper, or like not in like art form, right? It's like somewhere else in the world, and so more different people are accessing it. Yeah, which is exciting to me. And so anyway, I looked up the address, and it's like this super normal looking house in Southern California. And they just bought the wood. And anyway, that's a project I wish I had thought of. It's really good.
All right, last question.
Okay.
What is the most fulfilling aspect of your practice?
Wow. Okay, the most fulfilling aspect, there's like so many fulfilling parts of my practice and what I do, but one of those things is getting the chance to connect with other artists and people who love art. I really, really love that part of it, because I think there's something really exciting about talking to somebody about some idea that you have that's kind of off the wall, or like maybe has like, I'll start off the idea like, okay, what if we had 40,000 bees? And then like a lot of people would be like, Roz. But then like artist people or like curator people or whoever are like, what? Tell me more. And it's like really fulfilling and exciting for me to like meet people who want to know what I want to do with 40,000 bees or something like that. So, I mean, that's like a self-fulfillment. There's also something exciting about getting the opportunity to, through my work, help other people do stuff that they want to do. Mm-hmm. I love it. Really love that. So.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, those are all the questions that we have. So we're going to hit the bubbles and say bye. Bye.